Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly my pleasure to be here. I'd like to first start off by thanking Melody and the good folks here at the Madison County Historical Society and all of you that are here that are members. Has already been related to that this particular facility really does hold the information about our community and about the history. And anyone who's at home who happens to see us later on Anderson Television, or maybe that sees us live here on Facebook, our councilperson Rebecca Crims is here. Rebecca, good evening to you. Anyone who sees this, if you haven't had a chance to come up and see the Historical Society, you're really missing out on a treat. As was said by Melanie a moment ago, you could come back many, many times and not even scratch the surface. They have to work hard to bring exhibits out from time to time, and they've just finished the new part of the museum upstairs, thanks in part to the graciousness of the Ricker family and a recent donation. They've been able to finish that out, and they've been working on it last year when I was here. I got to view it. We're really working hard on it, but obviously they didn't have all the funds necessary to finish it at that time. But it's ready now, and as I understand, Mr. Jackson said a few moments ago, probably about every 6 months or so, they'll switch out exhibits. Earlier I had a chance with Melody to go through and do just a brief tour of some of the new things that they have here. And one of the newest things they have here, interestingly enough, is the prehistoric memorabilia from our community and from our county. And interesting, looking back at some of the exhibits that you have back there, I can tell you it certainly makes you realize your place in time. That goes back almost, 12,000 years. So needless to say, the moment in time we're all passing through and the moment in time that I'm here is just a blip on a moment of time here in our timeline. So again, thank you so very much for being here. I hope to have this to be fairly brief remarks tonight about the current status of our city. Those of you who may have read the Herald Bulletin today, it had a pretty good overview of some snippets of things going on and have been going on here in Anderson. If you haven't had a chance, you might check that out. Some of the things that are in there I'll be talking about today because it goes back and gives a little bit of information about what's went on here in the city and in the county over the last year or so. So today this evening I'm going to talk a little bit about our past, but more about our current and into the future as we move forward from 2019 and also into 2020. First thing I want to talk about tonight is our financial condition of the city. Anytime that you want to talk about trying to get things done, just like the museum upstairs, obviously you can have a lot of great ideas, a lot of good thoughts, but it takes resources to do these things. And we are very fortunate right now in the city of Anderson under several sets of circumstances to be in really fiscally sound position. As you probably know, several years ago, you recall that the state legislature put into place and also later put in through the Constitution through a series of referendums what's known as tax caps. And tax caps have really put a burden upon the local units of government and everyone that relies upon property taxes. It's a great thing for homeowners, and all of us that are homeowners enjoy it when we get our tax bill because it caps it out at generally at 1% of the value of the home. So it's reduced most folks' property tax burden, which again is a good thing for homeowners, but it has taken away revenues from the various units of government. The city, several years ago when that first hit, the mayors that were in place at the time had to make a lot of cuts and do a lot of things to try to live within the budgets because of those caps. And we're fortunate that we've been able to inherit a position where we don't have to make those cuts now, but obviously we still have to work to live within those monies that we have available. We figure we lose about the ability to tax about $13 million a year just in Anderson alone. The county's in a similar spot, the school's in a similar spot, and so forth. So it's a big chunk that has come out. So I'm proud of where we have been able to place ourselves over the last 3 years to be able to make ourselves fiscally viable under those particular set of circumstances. When I first came into office, we had what's called an operating balance of about $3.5 million. And the operating balance, if you think about it as your own funding for yourself, it's the money you have on hand at the end of the year. So on December 31st, at the end of the year, you have X number of dollars available to operate off of while you're waiting for more income to come in. And of course, when you're in the local units of government, we primarily get two big deposits, if you will, into our account. One after the May draw from the property taxes and one after the November. So twice a year we get property tax revenues, plus we get other revenues too as we go along. But we need to operate on our operating balance that we have at the end of the year, beginning of the next year, for a period of time until we receive additional monies. And $3.5 million just wasn't even close to being sufficient to be able to operate without running into the red. And when you run into the red, you're violating state law for one thing, and then you have to scramble throughout the year to try to figure out how you balance things up before the end of the year, because when you close your books, that's when the State Board of Accounts really looks at you strongly. And if you're in the red, you can get dinged. That's why some units of government you've seen in the past have had to borrow during the year. They'll borrow from like the bond bank, state bond bank, or they'll go to other means to try to come up with funds. So we thought it was important to try to build an operating balance over a period of time. You can't do it overnight, of course. But over the years, over the last 3 years, each year we've been able to grow our operating balance. And we've done that by not raising any additional tax revenues. In fact, we've kept our budget between 1% and 2% of the prior budget, and we've always had a balanced budget. But what we've done is we've been able to be cautious on how we estimate our revenue that's going to come in, and then we always try to capture as much unspent money at the end of the year and roll it into the balance for the future year. That way we have it as a cushion. So again, we started off with about $3.5 million. And at the end of last year, December 31st of 2018, we ended up with $11.3 million. So it's about $7 million plus more than we had 3 years ago. That puts us in a position that we will not ever go into the red again. It also puts us in a position that if we were to run into a problem, similar to what the counties ran into in the last year or two, with some really unexpected expenditures that they just didn't anticipate, we would be in a position to be able to cover those things and at the same time not go to the taxpayers, not to go have to borrow money, not to have spend money unnecessarily on interest rates and so forth. So we're very pleased about that. That approach again has allowed us to keep the budget balanced, at the same time have the revenues that we need in order to bring the services that folks expect. That couldn't have been done without the work of my controller, Doug Whittam. Doug's done a great job. We were very fortunate to recruit Doug. He actually was a member of the State Board of Accounts and in fact had been one of the folks that audited us on a regular basis. And the way he was hired, in effect, was he was there working in the city to audit us when we asked him if he ever thought about changing careers. And so he left the state, he came to work for us, and he's really done a great job doing things. Give you an example, one of the things that he did is he's increased our investment dollars. He's looked at ways to put money that's just sort of sitting there, not doing anything to work, to bring in more revenue. In 2015, for example, the interest that was earned off of investments was $104,000. In 2018, on the other hand, we increased the revenues to $1,577,000 in 1 year. Interest rates have went up, but not that much. Doug's done a great job. We also recently refinanced what we call our TIF debt. We had our TIF districts that were separated out. We put them into one continuous district, and we also refinanced it, which saves us $2.2 million. So we've looked at creative ways to get around the problems that were placed because of tax caps, and it's made us more viable. And that's something that we're very not only proud of, but is very important for the city of Anderson as we continue to move forward. We have focused in the last 2 years, 3.5 years, or 2.5 years really, on trying to bring quality of life and quality of place. When you go around and talk to folks, and when I go to different conferences and meet with other mayors, they're constantly working on ways to keep our people in our communities, to attract other people into our communities, and obviously attract investments in our community, but you have to have a good quality of place. If you don't have that, then it's not going to work out. In the meantime, we've also, though, continued to focus on our economic strength in town, and not just in our finances, but also in bringing new investments into the community to make sure that we have new companies coming in, bringing jobs, bringing more tax dollars that spread out the tax base, which lowers taxes upon individuals, but at the same time brings in additional revenues for the infrastructure we need and the other matters that we need to make the city a better place to live. During the last 3 years, we've had $311 million come in from some of these out-of-the-area companies. They've brought 1,000 new jobs into the community. In 2017, we had 16 new companies come in or expand, and in 2018, we had 12 new companies come in or expand. We have several more companies that we're currently working with that we believe we'll be able to announce later this year that will bring more investment, more jobs, more opportunities for folks. Of course, these jobs, as we bring these jobs in and bring these businesses in, while it's nice to have the businesses to expand the tax base and bring in additional tax dollars, which again lower the burden to taxpayers, it doesn't do us a lot of good if we aren't able to place our people into those jobs, and if those jobs don't pay a decent amount of wage for folks can raise their family. We have found that even though we have only about a 3.5–4% unemployment rate here, the reality is there's a lot of folks that are underemployed and certainly many that are unemployed. So we've worked hard to try to work to bring the job force up to a level that they can get some of these advanced manufacturing jobs that we're bringing in. We just recently unleashed at the very end of last year what we are calling the AMP program, AAMP. It stands for Anderson Advanced Manufacturing Program. This program is set up similar to a program that was in Lafayette, set up by a company by the name of Catapult, which basically reaches out and trains individuals to be able to take these advanced manufacturing jobs. The program that we've started, which officially starts April 1, we have already been in a recruiting process. We've taken a lot of applications. We had about 80 people sign up to take these positions, and we're going to take 30 people to start off with, and then every month we're going to come back and do another 30 and another 30 and another 30. Once you get accepted into this program, it's a 4-week program. You learn a lot of soft skill stuff. They're going to take you through some lean manufacturing concepts that's used in a lot of these brand new plants, and they're going to make sure that these folks understand what it takes to get a manufacturing job, and more importantly, to keep it. Employers are constantly telling us that when we hire somebody, they stay around 2 or 3 days and they're gone. We're trying to explain to these folks the work ethic, you have to show up, you have to be there, you have to be drug-free, and if you do that, then at the end of the day, there's a chance for a good paycheck for you. So we're working with these folks to get them to understand not only how this works, but teach them what they need to do to be successful in life. Once they're accepted into the program, we're paying them $10 an hour to come. So it's training that you get paid for. So there's an incentive there, and obviously an incentive at the end when you have the opportunity to get a real job. We have partnered with Purdue University to assist with the training, also JobSource and Flagship, and also local employers NTN, NTK, Cermax, and Red Gold. Once you get through this program, if you've done everything you're supposed to do, you will have met the standards that these companies have helped set out in part of this training. Because when we worked with them, they said, these are the things we're looking for. And so we incorporated that into these programs. Folks then will have the opportunity to get good jobs with these companies, and we think that's a great thing. We've also, because of what we've been doing, Catapult, the folks that started out this program initially in Lafayette, has reached out to us, and they now want a partnership with us. They're convinced that what we're doing is the right thing, and they want to be part of it. And in agreeing to be part of it, they've also agreed to bring additional funding. Plus, they are working with what is called Connexus Indiana. It's part of I want to say an operation that is using some state funding that was made available. The legislature is looking about putting additional funding in it for 5 communities, and we hope to be one of those communities now that we're going to partner with them. That'll give us more funds where we don't have to pay it out of the city coffers for something like this, but we think it's important enough to start the investment, and that's why we've been doing this. In Lafayette, what they found, they worked with the folks at Subaru, and what they found out was the folks that were going through there were sticking around and staying, and they had less turnover. And they found at the end of the day, on the average, they had 60% less turnover than they had had without the folks going through the program. So I can tell you that workforce development is critical to all the communities today. When I go out and talk to these new companies and talk to them about coming in and spending time here in Anderson and investing, they'll tell you right on the get-go, they're looking for the workforce. They're looking to make sure that people are here that'll work and come to work and do the job. So if we can do what's necessary to let these folks be trained properly, then we'll have a good workforce that in the end will be folks that these companies will want to hire and make it more readily that they'll want to come here and take part in our community. In addition to that, we continue to work with people that are already skilled up and looking for new jobs or advancements. This year we had our annual job fair again out at Flagship, Purdue Polytechnic. We had 58 companies. We worked hard to locate companies that wanted to come in and make themselves available, and they were interviewing folks and hiring people actually right on the spot. We had over 250 people come through that were really interested in trying to get jobs, and we've done this in the past. I noticed this time that it really seemed like to me the folks came more prepared. They came with resumes. They came dressed more appropriately. It just looked like a stronger potential workforce than I've seen in some of the past, and I thought that was a good sign. We also continue to work not only with our manufacturers, but also with our schools. It's very important that our schools give not only the type of education, but the type of curriculum that's needed in order for folks to get out and get these jobs in our community. We have a quarterly manufacturers roundtable where we bring in the employers, we bring in the schools, we sit together, we talk about what they need to do in order to work together to have good programs that folks can go through and then come out and get a job, of course. We work with Ivy Tech, we work with Purdue University, Anderson Community Schools, their D26 program, and also our private schools. And it's really been making a difference. And we've been proud that they've been working with us to help do these things. We also understand the importance of education. We've worked on an annual basis. We have an annual Mayor's Ball that you may have read about. We raise money that we then put into grants, and we allow teachers to request grants, and we've been able to give out 106 grants in 3 years. Over $120,000 have been raised, and this last year alone, we raised enough money that in January of this year, we gave out $50,000 to school teachers for 47 different projects that they had. And the teachers are excited, the kids are excited, and it just shows our commitment to local education, because we know that it's important. Without these kids thriving, without these schools thriving, then we can't be the type of community that we want to be. Again, we recognize quality of place continues to be an important thing that we do, and we've invested in making Anderson a great place to live through the quality of life programs that we've had. As you know, we have a great trail system that runs through Anderson. It's 10 miles long, runs from one end all the way to the Mounds Park area. We've paved and are in the middle of paving over 3.5 miles of that, which will complete the entire trail system, all but the little part that's over in Mounds, which of course is state property. We've cleared that property, we've widened it, and we've repaved it. This year, we're finalizing the last leg of that project. It was a 3-year project because of the cost involved. This year, we're going to be fixing the wooden structures that you see along the way. Some of them are tucked out behind the woods that you don't see, but some of that is in need of repair. We're going to be fixing all that, and then we're going to be repaving and paving and widening the balance of those trail systems. If you haven't been out there, I would certainly welcome you to go out and check it out. It's really pretty cool. It's unbelievable. You get out there, you'd never in a million years dream that you're where you are. I wouldn't say that you're back 12,000 years ago, but it certainly looks like you're somewhere out in the boondocks, so to speak. We also improved many of our parks. We have several park properties here in Anderson that the city oversees. We've put improvements into 12 of our major parks that we use: Shadyside, Belmont, Walnut, Pulaski, Geter, Horn, Crawford Field, Fairview, Madison Avenue, Edgewater Street, and MLK. We also have last year at the end of the year, right before the summer started, I should say, we refurbished the South Side pool, and we had unbelievable numbers of folks showing up for that. At these various parks, we've put in new equipment, we've paved, we've put in shelter houses and basketball courts. We're going to continue those efforts into 2019. These park improvements are going to include the restoration of Dickman Park. Dickman Park has become a centrally located area where a lot of people have come through the holidays and through the summer for various programs. It hasn't been refurbished since it was originally put in. If you've been over there, you'll notice the flooring and everything is all torn up, and the equipment that's there has been worn out. The Three Graces statue needs refurbished. We're going to be doing all that this year. We're also going to be putting in new restrooms at Streety Park and also new restrooms at Shadyside. Both those restrooms are in a very bad state of repair. We're not just going to fix them. We're going to take them out, put brand new structures in. We're also in the process of replacing the roof at the Shadyside shelter. We're going to rewire it, and we're going to clean it up and make it much brighter and lighter and put a roof on that'll last for years to come. We're also going to put in a new basketball court at Harmon Park. Harmon Park's located off Ambuskirk Road. The park generally is in good shape, but the basketball court is really in bad shape, and lots of kids use it on a regular basis. So we're going to fix that and make it new, so they can enjoy that throughout the summer. We're going to make some improvements over at the Grandview property, the Grandview restaurant, that are needed. It's a kind of a neat old building. Talk about history. It's been there a long time. Outside it looks pretty good, but when you sort of get underneath it a little bit, you realize some of the problems that it has, and so we're going to fix those up in order that we can maintain that structure for many years to come. Last year we started in renovations on the MLK statue, or not the statue, but the park, and we are going to finish that up here shortly this year. We're putting in brand new benches, trash cans, as well as going to be doing some new landscaping there to go along with the rest of the improvements that we made. We're going to go back to those 12 parks that I mentioned a minute ago that have a surface for the kids play on that's soft when they fall, and we're going to refinish that surface. Most of that needs replaced, and we're putting in a special compound. That way, if they fall, they're unlikely to get hurt as bad as they might otherwise. The fountain at 14th and Main Street, the equipment in that broke a year or so ago. We had the company come in to look at that, hoping it was under warranty. It wasn't. Unfortunately, it was put together in such a way that everything that you need to fix is buried underneath of it. So we've made arrangements to go in there and get that fixed and put it back in shape that hopefully it'll run for many years to come. We're going to continue to have our downtown concert series. If you haven't been there, I invite you to come out. We're expanding it. We're starting a little bit earlier this year, and we're going to run it later into the year. We're going to kick it off on June 7th, and it will run through September 13th, so it'll go a little bit into the fall. We're also extending the hours to make it a little bit longer in the evening. That way, about the time you get really excited about it, it's time to go home, you'll be able to stay for a little bit longer. This year we have music, hopefully, that's going to suit some of the interests of everyone. We have Cook and Bell, Living Proofs, Soul Street, Lemon Will, Seth Cook, Corey Cox, Magnolia Soul, Corey Story Band, and Toy Factory. And of course, it's all free, and it's a lot of camaraderie, and you ought to come down and check it out. Bring your lawn chairs and enjoy it. We'll also have food trucks down there as well for folks to have something to eat if you'd like to. We are continuing to grow our youth programming. We think it's very important that we keep our youth engaged and busy throughout the year. We have spring and fall programs. Right now, we're in the middle of our spring break. We have a two-week program that's free. That they're taking part of right now. We also have one in the fall, and then we have our summer program that we're going to continue with 4 different locations, and we do that partnering with Anderson Community Schools as well as with Liberty Christian School. And I can tell you that the kids that take part of that enjoy it. The folks that work there enjoy teaching and being with the kids. So it's really a win-win for everybody. And if you haven't had a chance, so you might stop out and check that out when it's going on, or consider grandkids or kids to take part in that during the summertime. I'd like to take this opportunity to also mention and thank Tom Brown. Tom Brown is the City of Anderson's Personnel Director. Tom was willing to step in and act as interim park director earlier last year, throughout the year after our superintendent left, and he's done a great job in keeping the parks moving, along with working with the park board and making the improvements and things we've just been discussing. As you probably know, we have hired a new park superintendent, Jama Donovan. Many of you may know Jama. Jama was with the Children's Bureau for 18 years. Kids are her passion. She was really energized and excited about this opportunity, and I can tell you already, for the short period of time that she's been here, she's already doing a lot of stuff, and she's definitely interested in getting going and keeping going. So I think we've made a great choice, and I look forward to working with Jama as we continue to advance the park department. As you know, we've made a really strong effort in the last few years to try to make a real difference in the blight around our community. There were just too many eyesores for too long. I'd like to think that we've set a pace at an unprecedented rate to take down these eyesores. We've taken down over 136 properties, and we're on track to take another 50 down this year, which will put us close to 200 properties in 4 years. Unfortunately, there's a lot of blighted properties. You can't do them all at once, and you can't do them all. There's a lot of obstacles on the way, a lot of legal obstacles. So to get through that and to work closely with the folks that in our Community Development Department, our Municipal Development Department, these guys all came together to help and work with us to get these properties down, and we're really happy about that. Downtown continues to be a focus for us. Obviously, the Historical Society is part of the downtown area, and I know you would agree with me how important it is from not only a historical standpoint, but just because this really needs to be the heart and soul of our community. I recognize, as we all do, that we're not going to return to downtown to what it was in the 50s, 60s, or 70s. No one expects that. But at the same time, in a community like ours, that's as old as ours, needs to not forget the downtown area. So we have worked hard and continue to do so to bring back portions of the downtown the best that we can, using both private investment and also investing as a city. Over the last 3 years, we have tried to invest not just in buildings, but in people, in the people of downtown who really have a love and a passion for what they're doing. You may have remembered or seen what we did downtown over the Christmas time. There was really excitement, vibrancy going on at that time when we had a great outpouring for our Christmas and holiday. And during that period of time, we had thousands of people come downtown. We put in a synthetic ice rink, which we initially rented, and then we decided to purchase. And we've purchased that now, and it's in storage here in Anderson. We'll be bringing that out next year around Thanksgiving time, and it'll stay up for the season. We had 8,000 people that we counted that took advantage of that. Now, obviously, some of them are repeat customers, but they had a great time, and we gave away hot chocolate, a lot of hot chocolate. But it was a great time. It was really neat watching all the kids. We also put together a Santa house. We wanted to create something that many of you may remember back in the days of when you were growing up. You kind of remembered we used to go here to see Santa. Of course, obviously, the mall had Santa for a while. That's obviously gone. But we wanted a place where in years to come, people could go, I remember going down there and seeing Santa Claus. We thought that was important. So we put together our Santa house, and Santa has agreed to come back next year, so we got that going for us. But it was really neat to see the excitement on the kids' faces. We also were fortunate last year because of a partnership that we were able to work out through our Anderson Police Department, our Chief Tony Waters, and also with the Pacer organization to bring about 2,000 toys into town that were donated. And we used that to give those away in schools, elementary schools, and also out at the Santa house. And it was a lot of fun to see. The only thing that was interesting was when Santa found out he was also going to be giving away all these toys, he was worried about how he was going to do it. I said, Santa shouldn't be worried about how to give away toys. You should have that down, right? But it worked out, and everybody had a great time. And it really did create a real buzz downtown, though, and we certainly enjoyed that. And the new businesses that are coming downtown, they were happy to see the efforts that we were all putting forth to make downtown a real destination. And some of those businesses that have sprung up seemingly overnight that are here and are doing well and are still here are Oakley Brothers, and the city has invested in all these. We have invested not only our support, but financially we've invested to make these folks viable, to be here, to get them over the hump they needed to be over in order that they could be part of Anderson and help bring back the spirit of downtown Anderson. The Oakley Brothers, Kettletop, Farm Society, A-Town Center, Creatures of Habit, Jackson Tower Apartments, Beverly Terrace Apartments, Yosaka Hibachi, Weston Appliances, and GDS Law Group. We also have businesses that are here and have been here for a while, and they're doing well, and they're continuing to expand. Burro Loco, a Mexican restaurant down on this side of town. Behind me over here, Riviera Maya, another Mexican restaurant. Cabbage Rose down the street on Meridian. Croaker Heads down the street here on Meridian. All of these businesses are coming together to make downtown a better place to live. Not to mention all the literally 100+ lawyers that are downtown, the other businesses and real estate folks that are downtown, and all the businesses that fill the bank buildings such as Union Building across the street, or a little bit catty-corner down across the street. The Union Building has new owners, and these folks are energized, and they've put forth a lot of effort. They have over 70+ occupancy right now, and they're refurbishing each floor as they go. And they're excited about being part of Anderson, and we're very pleased not only that they're here, but the investments that they're making and giving more opportunities for folks to be here and to do business. These apartments that are being done across the way at the tower and over here at Beverly Terrace, again, private investors coming in, putting a lot of money, $1.9 million over in the tower, a little over $1 million at Beverly Terrace. And in those cases, they're putting together these apartments that folks are going to be live in, stay in. A lot of the millennials want to be downtown. And again, that's going to be more vibrancy downtown. In addition to all those things, of course, we're also investing in our new downtown transit center. The transit center, which is going to be located over at 13th and Jackson Street, is paid for by more than 80% of federal funding. This is going to enhance the gateways. You come into Anderson off of State Road 32, come down MLK, cut over on 14th onto 32, and then come down into Anderson area on Jackson Street. This will enhance that gateway. It's also going to be able to be not only the new homes to our CATS bus system, but also a mixed-use property that will allow for retail and for restaurants and that sort of amenity, which we think is going to give another big boost to the downtown area. Just to give you an idea, if you don't know, our bus system and Nifty Lift combined last year tracked 238,727 riders. That's 238,727 riders. 23,664 were Nifty Lift riders. That's how many folks, obviously again, repeat customers, some of them, but that's how many times that bus system is used on an annual basis. If you don't have a good, sound public transit system in your community, then you're just a real small community. There's nothing wrong with small communities, but we want to be more than that. And so we need a good, sound public transit system, and doing this will help make that be the case. We're also going to be bringing online the trolley, an area trolley. Do you remember the trolley of several years ago? We're in the process of purchasing a new trolley that will be more energy efficient. It'll be operated by CATS, and it's going to primarily serve the downtown area and the immediate area. So downtown, we think of it more confined, but downtown really goes out further on either side, all the way out down Broadway and out by the hospital to the south, and of course to the west side, and then comes back over here to the east. But it's going to serve this immediate area, and it's going to act as a tool to get folks interested in continuing to stay downtown, to come downtown, to drop off at some of these venues that we're talking about, and just give a new and continuing excitement about the downtown area. Obviously, in addition to those things, as I've said, we have other businesses that are here in the community, and they continue to invest. Historical Society is one of them. Nonprofit, but it's still an entity that continues to invest and thrive in our downtown. You can't talk this time of year about talking about street paving and potholes, right? I seen a guy yesterday, and he said, hey, he says, I want to tell you, he goes, a month ago, I was thinking, you've really done a great job on the roads. And he goes, and then after the freezes and the thawing, it's changed. And I said, well, I'm glad you recognize it's that weather condition. We have had an unusual winter, to say the least, particularly with the extreme colds and the extreme highs and then the rain in between. And as you probably know already, that when you have asphalt roads and it gets cold and it rains and it gets warm and it goes back and forth like that and it freezes, it obviously cracks up the asphalt. And it really does make a difference. And this year it has been really bad. I am proud of our street department. These guys get out and work, and they work in some pretty crummy weather. They work hard. We did come up with a new process this year. Always before, in that wintertime, that type of activity, you can't normally get your hands on regular asphalt, because asphalt has to be warm, and it's made in an asphalt factory, obviously in warm conditions. And so, but we came up with a process using another company. It's actually a local company in town that basically recycled some of the old asphalt that had been broken up, and then mixing hot oils with it internally within their plant, and we used that in place, and it's worked pretty good. It doesn't pop out, because when you use what they call cold patch, which is the other stuff that we used, it literally pops out after a short period of time. A few trucks hit it and it bounces out, and you got to go back and do it. So the idea is that this warmer stuff will stay in longer and get us through to this time of year when the asphalt plants will crank up, and then we can get real asphalt out and patch the roads the way they need to be patched. Last year in 2018, our street department paved 54 locations, $510,000. We had our city engineer contract to pave 8.6 miles of road for $736,000. Last year, we were also able to apply for and receive community crossing grant money. We received $1 million, which we're going to put to use this year to repave 53rd Street. We're going to pave 53rd Street from MLK all the way to Rangeline Road. And that'll make a big difference out there. In addition to that, we've applied for another community crossing grant. The application's in now. We received $1 million 2 years ago, which we used to pave $1 million 2 years ago that we used to pave 8th Street Road. And these are all 50-50 matches. So whatever you get, you've got to match it 50%. So 8th Street Road was about $2.1, $2.2 million job. We expect 53rd will be about $2.1 million as well. And like I said, we've applied for another grant. We recognize that they're getting more competitive. There's a lot of communities that have been left out. And who knows what the state will do. If we don't get it, we'll move forward with some other resources, but we hope to get it and leverage the money that we've got to get some other money to do some additional paving as well. We're also going to pave this year. We have set aside from our will tax $1.9 million for paving of just the normal streets around the community. We've also approached the Redevelopment Commission about the MLK, which runs from the 73rd Street intersection out by the flagship as you get off of the interstate, and it's a long road. It runs all the way downtown, of course. We've already paved it from downtown to 25th Street, but it needs it badly from 25th on. We looked at doing it in sections, but we think we have the resources to do it all, and I'd rather do it all and do part of it. That way we can get it done and get it done right. So we're requesting them for funding that would allow us to pave all the way from the 73rd Street all the way up to 25th Street. We would also do 73rd Street as well from Martin Luther King going back towards Layton Road. That area is getting beat up a lot because of all the heavy, obviously all the heavy truck traffic. So this year plans to be a lot of paving. We've done it every year. We've done every 3 years, but then we get hit with these bad years like this. So I'm hoping this will make a big difference. And also this year, we're fortunate that the state has chosen to do State Road 32, and they're going to be paving from coming in from the Lapel area on 32, going all the way through the city. And as it twists around, State Road 32, you know, takes a couple odd turns. But anyway, heads on out towards Mounds Road, and they'll be doing that too. So you should be seeing a lot of paving folks out there here in the next month or two, going throughout the summer, and hopefully when it's all over with, we'll have a much better roads than we have today. In 2018, we did about $800,000 in sewer repairs and sanitary sewer repairs. That's always an ongoing thing. We'll continue to do that as we go into this year. One of the new things we're going to be doing is we're working on traffic signal upgrades. The traffic signals that we have in Anderson haven't been upgraded in years. There's a few of them that you've seen out that are newer, some of the heads that are newer, but for the most part, the guts inside of the boxes that you see on the side of the road, the yellow boxes, is what regulates all that, and they're old. They're an old analog type of mechanical type of system versus the digital that they have today, and quite frankly, ours are worn out, they're old. We have a couple of traffic engineers that work really hard, and they basically cobble together stuff, and they're smart enough, they've been here long enough that they can figure out how to rig it up to make it work, but it's not going to last a lot longer. And we've got many intersections, many lights, and we have to get those fixed up. The good news is we've reached out to the Madison County Council of Governments, which is what we call our MPO, which is Metropolitan Planning Organization, and they're the ones that receive federal funds that they can then dole out to different parts of the community upon application. We work closely with those folks. They're the ones that we worked with to get the money for the transit system. They think it's possible to get us 100% funding for all that. Anytime you get 100% funding, you want to take it. So we're looking at fixing all those signals. That will be probably a 1.5 to 2 year proposition. We've already put out some bids trying to get some folks interested in that, but that's about a $3.5–4 million cost. So to have that paid for 100% from another source is a good thing. It's something we couldn't obviously afford to do on our own. We're also looking at upgrading some of the utility issues that we have. As you know, if you've ever got online to pay your utility bill, use either your check or your credit card, you can do that, which is nice, but it's kind of a hassle. It kicks you out often. If you have more than one property, you can only pay one property at a time. It doesn't remember what you put in last time you were there. You have to start from scratch. So we're looking at putting in a new system that will allow people to get on. If you've got 3 properties, 4 properties, 5, whatever, go in and pay it all at once. Also, if you're a past customer and you come in and sign in, it'll recognize you. Won't have to fill in a bunch of information again. It'll just be much more user-friendly. To give you an idea, I find this interesting, but last year we had 120,099 web transactions by credit card and e-check, taking in $25.9 million through that system. We had $3 million more run through the system last year than the year before, and about 6,000 more transactions. So it's being used a lot, and I think people would appreciate it if it could be used a little bit more user-friendly. We've also changed our billing, which you probably when you first saw it didn't like it that well, but like most new things, but it's actually done in a way that's correct. The old way wasn't really correct. It didn't use the right format under the Indiana Regulatory Commission, and it needed to have more detail to it, and so we made sure that we made those changes to get that right. We serve presently our utilities in terms of our electric power. We serve 35,606 customers. That means households, obviously, where there's meters actually set. We continue to acquire our electric from what's called IMPA, Indiana Municipal Power Association. It's an organization that 62 different communities in the state belong to. Anderson and Richmond were 2 of the first, and we're the biggest. And we buy our power through them. We're actually part of their organization. And we have a member of the board of directors on that, and through them we're able to buy our electricity at a wholesale rate, and then we obviously resell it to the customers, which is you folks. at that wholesale rate, plus whatever additional costs of distribution are. Last year, our electric rates dropped by 5%. That primarily was attributable to savings that IMPA was able to acquire because of changes in the law, and we were able to pass that along to all of you. We continue to find that the best way for us to get our electricity rather than going through a private company. Our electric company does have an aging fleet, and sometimes we're starting to have some aging people there too. They've been around a long time. They've got a lot of institutional knowledge, but we do have several people looking to retire. We have 4 apprenticeships that were started a few years ago that are getting ready to become regular journeyman linemen now, but we need more linemen, and so we're going to be hiring some new apprentices to go through the apprenticeship program. That's actually on our website right now being advertised, and those folks, that's a 4-year program. It's a very intense program, but when they come out, they obviously are well trained to be able to do the job that we need them to do here in the community. We also this year have added more, or last year I should say, added more fiber. A lot of people don't realize we have a lot of fiber running through the city, which is the newest way to transmit data and information in the digital world that we live in. And we have enough fiber that we are able to take care of commercial buildings as they come in. We take care of the schools. We take care of the government centers. We don't go into the homes, mainly because the cost of delivery would be higher than if you had another company do it. Plus, if we start doing that, then other companies like AT&T and others would find us in competition with them and would come in and try to shut us down, in effect, by making it impossible for us to be able to compete with them. So we're keeping it in a place where we know that we can continue to compete. They won't try to interfere with what we're doing, and we can continue to deliver to larger customers a great way to move data. And it's very important, especially as we transition on and as we look to attract businesses that deal more with computers or large data users. And we've had 2 or 3 in the last 6, 7, 8 months we've been talking to that have been looking at Anderson as a place to possibly come and do business, and they need a place where they can hook into fiber. And we would have that ability to do that for them if they were to come here. In addition, our utility folks last year, I was proud of them. They became part of mutual aid, and they went down to Florida and helped in the disaster after Hurricane Michael. And they did a great job, and their appearance there was greatly appreciated by the folks down there that were going through the problems they were going through. We've also worked hard. The IT department has a part of our department is uptown at City Hall, but the heart and soul of it and our servers are located out at the Central Services Building where utilities are located. And our fellows out there work hard every day to increase the capabilities of our programming, but also they work hard to prevent cyber threats, which we actually are under constant threat from that. You may remember reading where the county got basically hijacked and were made to pay a ransom to get their stuff unlocked. And so we work hard to try to protect our databases from being hit by cyber thieves, and they've done a great job on that. And of course, we continue to do upgrades of our electrical day in and day out to make our delivery of electricity better for folks. We have just recently, in addition to electric, of course, we own our own water department. We have just put in and installed at the very end of the year the new Lafayette water treatment plant out north. This allows us to process 10 million gallons per day. It was a $9 million project, and that began in November of 2017. It came online in December. It takes about 2 months to get all the glitches worked out of that. They expect another week or so. They should have it operational where they want it to be, but you have to do a lot of tweaking to make sure you get your water flowing correctly and so forth. But we're proud of that plan, and actually the official ribbon cutting of that will be in probably another 30 days or so. We are also presently engaged in what's called a hydrological study. We basically have several well fields around the city that feed water that we operate off of, as well as an aquifer that we have underground. We're very fortunate to have good water here in our community, but we need to make sure for the future that we have plenty of water, not just as it's good, but plentiful. And so consequently, we are drilling to find those well fields that would be able to feed us, and we've been looking primarily in the western and southern parts in order that we don't have to push water as far as we do presently with our Lafayette well field. We would obviously keep those because we just built a new water plant there, but we essentially shut down the Wheeler plant, which is downtown over here, which is really old. Again, I'm not sure it's 12,000 years old, but it's pretty old. The police and fire departments continue to do well. Last year we hired 9 new police officers. So we're in the process of hiring 3 more. We're right now in the process of hiring what we call lateral transfers. These are folks that are from other departments that have already been through the training at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. That way we don't have to send our folks through that. It's expensive and time consuming. And we thought if we could find some folks to take those positions that are already well trained, it would be an advantage to us. And when they come in, and when they get hired in, they hire in as if they're new. They do start on probation like everyone else, but it is a good way to get folks that have a few years experience onto the department, and we have 3 right now. One of them actually has been hired officially, but he hasn't been sworn in, but he's been through the safety board, and then we have 2 others that'll be coming on very soon as well. We also hired 9 new firefighters and paramedics, and those folks are doing a great job. We have purchased now finally at the end of last year, first this year, we put the rest of them in service, 60 brand new police cars in 3 years. That keeps our folks safe. I can tell you when we went to sell the used vehicles, we got $500, $600, $700, $800 a piece for them. And I can't tell you how bad they were. I went out and looked at them, thinking maybe we could save a few. I mean, they were horrible. To think our guys were driving around in those is sort of an embarrassment. But we were able to do that. And the cool thing was we were able to do that without spending additional taxpayer money. We did it by making some savings cuts on some other areas that we really didn't need it, and so we felt good about that. Our fire department, we've continued to upgrade their equipment as well. We've brought in new fire trucks, new pumper trucks, new ambulances. We'll continue to do what we need to do to keep all of our equipment in good stead. So as we look into the future here, I see Anderson as a great place. I was born and raised here. I'm very proud to have had the honor to serve as your mayor. But I can tell you Anderson is a great place. And like I said a while ago, you realize it's just a little moment in time, but it's important what we do as we pass through in our community to make it a better place to live. And I feel like that we've done a lot to do that. But I think in working together with the community and working with our workers who really are responsible, we have a workforce of nearly 600 people. Some are here this evening. Tim Stowers over here. Tim's been with the city for a number of years in municipal government, does a great job. Like I said, Rebecca's on our council. Dick Sims over here and Julie. These guys work hard every day. Jack Kiesling back here. I'm going to miss somebody, be in trouble. But I can just tell you that with nearly 600 people, these folks do work hard. And we have about 20 departments. And it's a big operation. It's a serious operation. We have fun doing it, but it's a serious operation. And we take the responsibility very seriously. But we know there's a lot to do. We know we're not done yet. We know that right now we're trying to make things as good as we possibly can. We're trying to come up with new ideas and things that we can do to make the future even seem brighter. Again, we're going to continue to focus on making sure that people have good jobs and that they have good opportunities. We want people, if they want to leave Anderson because that's what they want to do, that's their business. I don't want them to leave Anderson because they think they don't have any other choice. I want them to have a choice. I want them to have the same choices that many of you had as you grew up to stay in Anderson and work at good, decent jobs. And I think we can do that. I think we can improve our housing here to make real favorable housing available for everyone, whether you're a single parent or single person or a person that has a family. If you want a home, a traditional single-family home, or if you want an apartment. We want to have the best resources that we can possibly have. We want our quality of life to be such that it reaches out to everybody. Not everybody has the same ideas of what it is that's a great recreation. But if you're a person who wants to get on a mountain bike or a regular bike, or a person wants to walk, or if you just want to go walk around a track inside a facility, we want you to have those opportunities and have those amenities available. And I think those are things that we can all do. They're all attainable. We just need to continue to work hard and work together, and I think we can get that accomplished. And so again, I'd just simply like to say thank you to all of you for letting me be here tonight, and to what a great organization you guys all have. And thank you for taking time out of your valuable lives to be here tonight to listen to a few words I had to say. Thank you.